Welcome back to Zero Waste on a Budget. The first one we're going to be talking about is deleting junk emails, deleting your spam folder, as well as unsubscribing from emails. That's number 2. If you're new here, my name is Emma. I talk about all sorts of things zero waste, making zero waste free, easy, and fun for everyone, making zero waste accessible. And today we're diving into my favorite series, Accessible Zero Waste, which is Zero Waste on a Budget. All of these are completely free for you to do. This first one, deleting old emails, and number 2, unsubscribing from junk mail, are super simple, might be a little bit time consuming, but have a really big impact. Obviously, this is something that we can't see as consumers, but all of our data has to be stored somewhere. You wanna come up? And so because that data has to be stored somewhere, those facilities have to be powered in order to store our data. So they're probably not powered by renewable energy, they're probably powered by fossil fuels. So by deleting old emails, by unsubscribing from junk mail, and reducing your amount of email storage, you're reducing the amount of fossil fuels you're using. It's all very up in the air and gray as to whose carbon footprint it is, but if you want to help reduce the amount of fossil fuels we're using as a society, delete your old emails. And if you don't know how to unsubscribe from emails, you just scroll all the way to the bottom until you see unsubscribe here, or change your mailing preferences, change your email preferences. Click on that link, it'll take you to an external site, usually their website. If you're on your phone, it'll ask you to open it up in Safari or Chrome, and then just simply say you want to unsubscribe from all. Be sure to delete that email when you're done, and the most important step to both of these is to actually go to your deleted folder and delete them from your deleted folder. Because if you delete it, it goes to your deleted folder and they stay there forever and it clogs it up. It still uses energy, still uses storage space. But anyway, another one that's really similar to that is to actually clear out your phone as well. I can almost guarantee this will actually help your phone run faster. So things like deleting old photos, deleting old notes, going back through your Spotify downloads and deleting your old downloads. What else? There's so many things. If there's an app that you no longer use, I'm gonna go through right now. I have a bunch of stuff that I just filmed this morning that I just transferred to my computer, so they can all be deleted. And the same goes for your phone. So when you delete it, they all go to the recently deleted folder, which is great because it does if a few days later you're like, oh no, I deleted something I didn't mean to, that's great. It stays for 30 days. So it is nice that your phone automatically deletes them after 30 days while your email does not. But if you're really confident that you deleted everything that you truly wanted to delete, you can clear out the deleted folder in your phone too. And the same goes through in your notes. I put weird notes in here like to-do lists. What did I put in here the other day? I was on the phone with somebody and they're like, you need to do this. I put it in my notes app. Once I did it, I made sure to delete the app. Yep, here's an old one, an old to-do list. I don't even know when this is from, early November. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that to clear up some memory on my phone. And this just helps your devices run a little bit faster and use less storage to store all this stuff. Also, I forgot to mention it in the beginning. These are totally random. Take what you will, leave what you don't want to do, and I write them down as I think of them, so they're literally in no order. Number 4, after you're done washing your rice, reuse that water. That water is full of starch and nutrients, and it's great to use on your plants. You can use this on houseplants, landscaping, or since it's not really dirty, you don't have to do this. This might be gross to some, but you can reuse that water to wash your dishes once you're done making dinner or lunch or whatever meal. The next one is to start composting. I know it sounds easier said than done, but if you haven't composted yet, at least think about doing it because it's easier than it seems, even if you don't have the space to compost. You can do a quick Google search. I would just search Las Vegas composting and see if my city does a free pickup or even a paid pickup. You can also start at home for free. If you are a homeowner, then you can do it super easily. If you are a renter but you still have a yard, the ones that I have in Las Vegas, I found them on OfferUp for $20, so it was pretty affordable. And now I can compost without spending any more money. But you can also use apps like Share Waste. They are also a website to find people in your area who compost. If your city doesn't have a compost and you don't have room, it might require you to drive to drop it off, but the rest of it is totally free. This next one, I thought of this one this summer. If you live in a hot climate like I do, and you like to take cold showers, I would like to encourage you to take warmer showers in the summer, at least sometimes, because For me, my groundwater is so hot in the summer that I don't even have to wait a second for my water to be warm. It comes out warm in the summer, meaning that if you want to take cold showers, it's going to take more energy and time and water to turn that into cold water. And especially here in Las Vegas, where we might run out of water in the next decade. In the summer, I take warmer showers. In the winter, I take cooler showers, not like cold. I don't think I could do that. Shower as your groundwater temperature changes, if that's something you're interested in. The next one is to clean out your old candle jars and simply reuse them. But your candle jars need to be cleaned out regardless. If you recycle your candle jars with like a little bitty layer of wax in the bottom, it's not going to work. That will completely contaminate the entire recycling process and it cannot be recycled. Good news, I actually just ran out of a candle, so I'm going to show you right here how I personally clean out my candle jars. I boil some water, I fill it up, this melts the wax, and then once it's all cooled down, the wax will harden on top, and then I can just peel it off as a chip. I can put this in a wax melter if you have a wax melter. It's not the end of the world if you have to throw that little bit away. After this, you might have to take like some soap and water to scrub out the rest of the jar, but it should be pretty simple from here on out. You can reuse them as vases, as storage, organization, or recycle them. But ultimately, clean them out. It's really not that hard. Next is to recycle your odds and ends through Terracycle. If you've never heard of Terracycle, I have a full video deep diving into them. Are they greenwashing? How does it work? How do I use it? Linked up here. Creating an account is free, and depending on which service you're using, they will send you a free shipping label. All you have to do is have the stuff that needs recycled and a box and some tape. Some of them do cost, like some of their bigger boxes and bundles and stuff, so that's not a free option, but a lot of their stuff is free options. If you have any more questions about Terracycle, leave comments and questions for Terracycle in the Terracycle video, and then I will be happy to answer them there. We're bringing it back to leave no trace. Don't throw food scraps out your car window. Food waste is biodegradable. Why is this a bad thing? Isn't taking it home and putting it in the trash more harmful? It all kind of depends on your ethics, I suppose. Sure, throwing it out the window, it will biodegrade, with the big caveat, if you do that in the desert, it will not biodegrade, and it won't turn into methane in a landfill. Sure. But throwing it out the window of your car, you're attracting possums, raccoons, deer, bears, elk, like all the way from like birds up to the biggest creatures we have. You're attracting them to the roadside. This is a danger for them. Of course, this can harm them and their families if they like bring their kids along to get this little snack. And it can also be harmful for you. If an elk or a moose or a bear gets in the road, this can be extremely catastrophic for all parties involved. And if you don't know what Leave No Trace is and why we need to keep animals wild, you can check out my Leave No Trace video up here, which essentially is zero waste for the outdoors. And the same goes for hiking. Don't just eat your apple while you're hiking and then throw your apple into the woods. Granted, nothing is gonna get hit by a car. You're probably not gonna get attacked by a moose. You might get attacked by a bear, not to scare anybody. But ultimately, if you're in the desert like me, it's not gonna decompose, so it's pointless to throw your scraps out the window or just off to the side of the trail. But when you're hiking, this can, again, influence the animals. It can increase their reliance on humans for food, reduce their natural instincts to hunt and forage, and animals can get dangerous, especially things like bears and foxes and coyotes. If they're reliant on humans for food and then all of a sudden the humans stop feeding them food, they can get aggressive. And when they get aggressive, they do have to be euthanized. So take the animals into consideration, take your food waste home, and this goes back to one of the first ones we talked about, which is to start composting. The next one, I do this all too often. Now, I don't do it as often now that I have a gas stove and I can actually see which burner is on in my stove, but be conscious of which burner you're turning on and don't turn on the wrong burner. This is just wasting electricity or gas and then wasting your time too. Now your dinner's gonna take 10 extra minutes because your burner is not hot to make your soup warm. And of course, this is not only free, but it will save you money because you're saving energy. The next one, and I can't believe it took me till part 10 to mention it, well, I guess because I didn't have my free guides till pretty recently, that is to download my free guides. I have one on how to live zero waste from home. I designed it during COVID, but it's totally still applicable today. I have a guide on how to spot greenwashing, which is super important if you're trying to not waste your money buying fake eco products. And then the third one, it is how to have an eco Christmas. I released it in November of last year, but it will be applicable this coming winter season. And again, they're completely free for you to download, and be sure to subscribe to my newsletter because I do try to release new free guides like every 6 months or so. So if you want more free guides in the future, subscribe to my newsletter, which is also free. The next one, it's quite simple, and I can't believe a lot of people don't think of this, but bring your own towel to the gym to wipe down gym equipment. My old gym, when we were stationed at Kadena, did have reusable towels in a spray bottle, so it was completely zero waste to use their gym equipment wipe down. But my gym here on Nellis has individual wipes, so this ultimately depends on your gym. But for me, I found a little rag at Goodwill for like $1 or $2, and I just take that to the gym with me to wipe down the gym equipment, and this reduces a little bit of waste and even a lot of bit of waste if you go to the gym a lot and use a lot of different equipment. Next is to catch your dishwater. We've talked about catching gray water in the past, but I want to bring it up again because it's way easier than I thought it was. I heard people talking about it for years, and it took me moving to the desert to actually give it a whirl because, again, we're running out of water down here in the Southwest, so I want to take every water conservation effort I can. I think we were at Corn Creek at the Desert National Wildlife Refuge. It said something like the average person uses 165 gallons of water per day. That's insane. Anyway, if you're using that much and you catch it and you can reuse it on your landscaping, or this is obviously not a free option, but you could like reroute your plumbing so that way your gray water goes back into your own system to like flush your toilets and stuff. But the free option, I find buckets in people's trash all the time. I take them home, I put them in my sink, I wash my dishes over the bucket, and then I dump the bucket on my trees and my bushes. So it's completely free, and this cuts our water usage in half. If you wash your clothes by hand or wash like your period underwear by hand, your children's reusable diapers by hand, catch that water too and then use that on your plants as well. Of course, both of these tips, you have to be using biodegradable soap to make sure that they are like plant friendly. And then also don't like dump super salty water or super acidic liquid on your plants either. Oh, I jumped ahead of myself. The next one was to catch water from washing your period underwear. Blood water is actually kind of nutritious for plants, and I've seen a few, maybe they're just anecdotal, but some stories about how people's plants actually thrive by reusing their period underwear water on their plants. So take that as you will. The next one, I think of this one quite often because I see people all too often in the drive-thru of fast food and Starbucks and so forth, which is totally fine. Like if that's your thing, if that's your only option, cool. But what I'm saying is, if you have the option to get out of your car, walk inside, dine in, or even like give them your containers so that you can reduce your waste that way. Regardless, this tip is to dine in versus take out, and then the next one is to dine in versus going to the drive-thru, because both of these will reduce so much waste, especially physical waste, but also the drive-thru one will save the invisible waste as well, the emissions, which will in turn save you gas money as well. Especially like a few months ago when gas prices were crazy high, like they got almost to $6 here in Las Vegas. I still saw people idling in the drive-thru for 20 minutes. And I'm like, we're all out here complaining about gas prices, but you're sitting there idling your car for 20 minutes. Just walk inside. You would have been done faster than 20 minutes anyway. Whatever, to each their own, but take those as you will. The next tip is to save the paper from your zero waste toilet paper and reuse it as gift wrapping or packing paper. I have yet to find a zero waste toilet paper brand that does not individually wrap their rolls of toilet paper, which is kind of unfortunate. I feel like that's kind of defeating the purpose. Obviously it's sanitary, but at my own personal home, I don't need that sanitation barrier. So if you want to write to Who Gives a Crap about telling them to reduce the amount of paper they use, you can check out the link down below to write them a letter. It's as simple as clicking the button, inserting your name, and hitting send. But for the time being, while these brands are still using this paper, save it to reuse. I really do like though that Who Gives a Crap during the holiday season, they offer a holiday box with holiday prints instead of their like Who Gives a Crap logo smack in the middle of their piece of paper, which is kind of like nobody wants to see that on their gift. But you can also just use it like if you're moving, you can put them between plates to keep stuff from breaking. If you're shipping someone a package, you can use it as packing paper. There are endless uses. Instead of just recycling this right away, give it some new life, and it's totally free. Next, I didn't start doing this one until we started backpacking and I started making my own backpacking meals, but save desiccant packets. If you don't know what these are these little packets. They absorb moisture. So if you have things like nori, seaweed, you got some electronics and you live in a really humid climate, and it also even works to like deodorize. So if you want to put them in like your sock drawer or your gym bag, just kind of put them everywhere to absorb odor and moisture and then give them some new life. I've also seen, I think it might have been on like a zero waste group I'm on Facebook, you can reactivate these desiccant packets by like dehydrating them, which is super cool that they can be endlessly used. But obviously these things cannot be recycled. They're also like a little bit toxic, so I don't even know if they're good to go in the landfill. Like, do they get in our groundwater? So ultimately, reuse them if you can. The next tip is to recycle paper yourself at home. Recycling paper is way easier than it sounds, and it's a lot of fun. So like, especially if you have kids, this would be a really great activity to do during the holidays, so you can make your own holiday cards. How fun. But I have a full video on it. I did it in 2020, I think. So this video is almost 3 years old. I will leave it linked above and below, outlining the full process on how to recycle paper. But ultimately for me, it was an experiment to see how many times I could recycle paper at home, because I know like some of these resources talking about paper recycling, it's like, oh, paper can only be recycled like 7 to 9 times, and I wanted to see if that was actually true. Spoiler alert, it is true. This next tip is literally so simple. Simply just remember to remove staples from things before you put them in your recycling bin. I'm actually looking at a stack of paper right now. It was like some Air Force stuff that I had from our last move. I just ripped all the corners off because I don't have a stapler removal, and I don't want to rip off my natural nails because that sounds a little bit painful. So simply just rip off the corner. If you have a stapler remover, use it. Put that piece in the trash because these are too small to be recycled. And this ensures that your paper can actually be recycled without the staples interfering in the process. Next is to start eco-bricking. Eco-bricking is totally free, and now I have a full video on how to eco-brick. What is an eco-brick? What do I do with them afterwards? And everything in between, everything you need to know about eco-bricks. You can check that out up here. In short, they are a way for us to reuse our soft plastics. Most soft plastics cannot be recycled at all, and if they can be recycled, it's only through special programs like Terracycle or in-store drop-off. So things like bread bags, if you buy frozen fruit or vegetables, tortilla bags, stuff like these mailers, all these thin plastics that cannot be recycled. You can cut them up, turn them into eco bricks, and then you can build with your eco bricks. You can build things like park benches, garden beds, walls for your garden, etc. There are endless uses for them. And there's also, if you don't have a use for them, like I am a renter, I can't build with these eco bricks, and I'm also moving soon. I am just giving them to my mom so that she can use them at her school. But you can also use the eco brick marketplace where you can send and buy eco bricks from people all around the world. Number 24, turn old clothing into cat toys and dog toys. Let's see, just off the top of my head, I turn old socks, like our old ripped Air Force socks, into dog toys. I have turned, many people are gonna think this is weird. I turned an old pair of underwear into a cat toy. I had like some strings that I just cut off of a pair of pants. They were just decorative, they served no purpose. Those are now a cat toy. The scraps from my t-shirt rug, like the ends of a t-shirt that are super thick and hard to crochet, I turned those into a cat toy. But you could simply, like, if this shirt had a big hole or a big stain on it, you could just cut up something like a shirt and use that. You don't have to like get creative with special scraps or anything. But just think about how you can repurpose them for your critters instead. And then the last one, if you don't have pets, don't worry, you can still recycle your clothing at home by turning them into things like rags, tissues, hankies, reusable makeup remover wipes, rugs. If you're a crocheter, you could cut them and sew them into reusable grocery bags or produce bags. I've done that before. Oh my gosh, I still have some sitting there. Vintage. I made those in like 2019. There are so many ways to reuse clothing, but at the end of the day, if you're not crafty or you don't have the time, I encourage you to recycle your clothing that can't be donated. So clothing that is stained, ripped, torn, destroyed in some way, recycle it instead. They're getting pretty popular, like clothing recycling bins around cities, but I think Terracycle might also have a recycling program. I know Nikki has a recycling program for bras and underwear, and 4 Days has a recycling program for all clothing. I will leave all those resources linked down below so that you can recycle clothing instead of throwing it away, because it is also one of the most common things thrown away. That's all for today. I hope that you enjoyed these 25 ways to live zero waste that are completely free. If you have any more ideas for zero waste living on a budget, please leave them down below and I'll give you a shout out when I mention it in the next iteration of this video. I think I have enough for part 11, but I want to keep this series going because we are at now 250 ways to live zero waste completely for free. I would just love to keep this series going on and on and on, because at the end of the day, sure, you can buy zero waste swaps, you can spend a whole lot of time making your own bread, etc. But I'm here for the easy swaps that don't take a lot of time, don't take a lot of energy, money, resources, time. I think I already said time. I'm here for the easy zero waste living. I know many of you are too. So help me keep this series going. And if you found any value in this video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up, as well as if you would share it with others and share with your friends and family that zero waste living isn't weird. It's not hard. It's not expensive. It can be free, easy, and fun. So again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time. And until next time, remember that your small actions have a big impact in the long run. Bye, guys. Welcome back to Free Late. Oh, we're just gonna call it zero. It's not a budget because that's not a tongue twister. If your gym is already using reusable I literally wasn't recording and then I messed up. And had I not messed up, I don't know how long I would have talked before I realized that it wasn't recording. And if you're, and obviously, oh my gosh. Oh, just kind of throw them everywhere to absorb.